All right, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing our weekly review for the 5th episode of Fear the Walking Dead Season 7. This one is called Till Death. Alright, and spoiler warning for this episode if you guys have not seen it yet for Fear the Walking Dead Season 7. Alright, now the 5th episode of this new season, and I think this is my favorite episode so far of this season. Now, you guys know that I haven't loved every episode of Fear this season. Episode 3 was kind of one of my lesser favorite episodes I've seen in a while for Fear and for Walking Dead. Now, this episode right here feels as much like an original Walking Dead episode as it does a Fear the Walking Dead episode, because it actually focuses on Dwight and Sherry, which is freaking awesome to see. A Dwight and Sherry episode in Fear the Walking Dead with Strand as well. Till Death. We also get the introduction of a brand new character who is named Mickey, who is one of my favorite new additions for Walking Dead, in quite some time, in that she was a pro wrestler before the zombie apocalypse. And this episode's kind of amazing because we actually get to see like a wrestling ring, and all these walkers come in, like 50 to 100 of them, and then she's like doing wrestling moves against them. I think she pile drives one of them, which is really funny. She like breaks the zombie's neck, and then there's other ones where she does like an elbow drop and smashes the zombie head, or one where she like smashes the zombie into the turnbuckle. It's really awesome. You guys know I'm kind of an old school wrestling fan. I think we kind of all are, right? At least from when we were younger. If we grew up, if you grew up in like the 90s and that kind of thing, wrestling was like the biggest show on TV at that time. The Monday Night Wars and everything. So it's really fun in this episode to see a character like this be introduced. Spoilers: she's introduced. Also with her husband, they were a tag team before the zombie apocalypse started, and she's kind of, throughout the episode, she's looking for him, and then by the end of the episode, the Grapple Chapel is the name of the tag team. Husband and wife, a tag team. Really, really funny, but then also sad at the end because she's looking for her husband, and as the episode goes through, finally she finds him, and it turns out that he was in the Grapple Chapel. He was a zombie. So she ends up finding him. Dwight and Sherry help her do so throughout this episode, and so that's kind of where we kind of end things off with her, and she kind of joins what are called the Dark Horses, which are really just Dwight and Sherry, even though it's a cool name. But then again, they do have a lot of skills, because if you go back to like their savior days, Dwight and Sherry were two of the best saviors. And so, they're still a really great team. They kind of have a code and a protocol that they follow for how to survive on their own. And if you do remember to Fear the Walking Dead Season 6, they had gone into a cellar with a small family, Kevin and Kim and their daughter, I believe, yeah. So we get to see them back again in this one. The beginning sequence, we see them, and I can kind of I saw the previews, so I knew it was going to be, Dwight and Sherry, but I kind of recognized them right away, even in their gear. You could kind of hear them and everything. So as soon as the episode started, I'm like, oh, it's Dwight and Sherry. Right? They've got all this, Dark Horse gear on, so it's cool and everything. They run into a couple of guys. They get into a scuffle. They end up killing one of them, and the other one gets away, and he comes back in later in this episode. They've got some fruit that these two people had stolen from someone else, and so Sherry and Dwight return it to the person who it was stolen from and get to keep a little bit themselves. Cool intro, as usual, the character stylized intros, which I still like very much. And, whether or not I enjoy the episode probably just depends on whether or not I like the character or characters that are in each episode of Fear, right? It depends on, who's spotlighted in each episode and the way they're kind of doing things now for Fear. But it is really good. There are some episodes that turn out to be really awesome. Again, like I said, depending on who, are some of your more favorite characters, you get to see those episodes where you might like them a lot. Dwight and Sherry being old school Walking Dead survivors. I love that they have brought them into Fear because we get to have episodes like this. And if they didn't do a crossover like this, with the Walking Dead original television series ending in its final season coming up, we wouldn't be able to see them spotlighted in this kind of a way. So it's really cool what they've been able to use Fear to do, which is to expand and give more time to Morgan, Dwight, Sherry, and then the original Fear crew as well. So definitely taking that initial or those extra characters from Walking Dead and crossing them into Fear, I think has upped Fear. It's improved it because then you have more characters to work with. And even if we don't get to see them all every episode, it's just the more the merrier in some ways. Because if you look at the original Walking Dead series, a lot of episodes, and a lot of times it feels like they don't have enough characters to kind of flesh out and everything. Fear the Walking Dead certainly has an awesome roster right now. You could maybe argue that it's even better than the original Walking Dead series roster, or at least they have a good number of prominent characters that are fun to watch. So we get the family. So we've got Kevin and Kim and their daughter, who we end up seeing were killed. Now, I thought at first that they had committed suicide or something like this, but then we find out later that no, they were actually killed. And this is a very dark turn in this episode for Strand. I feel like he has sunk to a new low, and he has become totally different from what he was before, because this one is dark even for him. He hired this guy, I think the guy's name is Elon, to basically go out and take care of this family that Dwight and Sherry were with. And when I say take care of, I don't mean in a good way, I mean in the other way. And so resulting in even their daughter being killed, zombified in this one, and with her age and everything, for Strand to be responsible for a kid being killed in this episode just because he wants to maybe make it so that Dwight and Sherry have no reason not to join him, he's become extremely cutthroat. And he mentions the New World. We get to see him in this episode, and Howard as well. He meets with Dwight and Sherry and sends them to try to find Mickey. And luckily they don't bring her back because based on what we've seen so far from Strand, it seems like Strand would likely kill her, right? So Strand has become, maybe even worse than Negan in some ways, right? If you look at Negan, one of his no-nos were definitely not, you never kill a kid, right? So, certain code and certain rules. Now, Negan was brutal in other ways, but Strand is kind of brutal in an underhanded kind of way. Like he is not, like he throws Will off, right off of the roof without really a solid motive to do so, right? Without really a solid reason to do so. And now in this one, he's responsible for a family being wiped out, just maybe for the possibility that he could get Dwight and Sherry to join. He does say in this one that Wendell is at the tower, so I'm starting to think, okay, maybe Wendell is at the tower, because he would have no reason to tell Dwight and Sherry that, in that they were not that close to him. But it's a good thing that Dwight and Sherry do not join the tower because of who Strand has become. It almost seems like it would be more dangerous for them to be in and around Strand, considering his current philosophy on how to treat people, what to do, and, viewing people as an investment, but, easily throwing them to the dead, easily throwing them to the wolves, or eliminating anybody who stands in his way. It's very sad to see him kind of fall, I feel like, to those depths, to that kind of an extreme. Is it in this episode anyway? For me, it feels even kind of worse than what happened with Will earlier this season. So Strand has become maybe like the ultimate bad guy for fear. Now there are some cool parts where he's like playing golf on the top of the tower. He is an awesome villain, better than I thought he would be as a villain. But depending on how things go here, and if he isn't stopped in the next by the end of the season, or maybe at some time next season, he may go down as maybe the best bad guy Fear the Walking Dead has ever had. One of the best bad guys Walking Dead has ever had, right? To see what he's responsible for and what's happened. Now, you could probably argue that maybe he didn't tell Elon to kill them or something like that. Maybe I don't know, maybe Elon did that of his own accord or something, but it kind of seems like it, and he was taking pictures too. And if you remember the wall, there was this wall with all these pictures all over it. Is this something that Strand has been doing consistently? Has he been sending out kind of hitmen to take care of people that are either with us or against us? So if you don't join, then he gets rid of you. Has he been doing this consistently? Is this a first time? Because it doesn't seem like it based on the wall and the pictures and everything, the Polaroids. So really crazy dark stuff for Strand and the space that he's in right now. Some excellent developments for him as a villain. But I really feel like, based on what's happened with him now and seeing him in this episode, that he's beyond redemption, I think. So leave your comments below on that one. Let me know what you think about Strand. I'd say he's beyond redemption after what we've seen in this episode. Maybe with Will, okay, that was bad enough, but sometimes, if you look at, Madison, for example, she kills Troy, right? Hammer time. So others have done some bad things, but what Strand is doing now and seeing it here, it feels like he's just gone to a whole nother level. So of evil, that is. So in the sequences at the end, really a lot of fun. The wrestling ring and everything on the opposite side of how dark Strand has become. I thought it was a lot of fun to see Dwight kind of come to the rescue, let them know don't call Strand because he's the one who's responsible for the family being killed. And the grapple chapel, like I said, just a lot of fun with all the different zombie kills, and the wrestling ring, really, really fun. So awesome character add for Mickey in this one of the best introductions, I think, for a character. It kind of reminds me some ways of like in the comic book series, Beta is a pro basketball player. So he's like recognizable. And it kind of reminded me of that in this one, that Dwight's asking Mickey like if they knew each other, this kind of thing, until he eventually realizes like, oh, she's a pro wrestler and she was with, Grapple Chapel, so he kind of recognized her and knows her. It just kind of gave me vibes of that, similar to like the comic where you find out that Beta is a basketball player. They switched it so he was like a country music singer, something like that, right? And so Half Moon was what they switched it to. But this one was really fun in the way they handled it, and it was just really cool to see the end. See, it's just something new, right? Again, it's like, can we see new things in Walking Dead after they've done hundreds of episodes now? And apparently we can. So I'm going to give this one a 10 out of 10 till death. It's my favorite episode so far of the season. Dwight and Sherry are always awesome to see together, and Mickey is one of the best new adds, just like Howard too. Strand's evil butler. He's like an evil Alfred, I view him as. So awesome stuff. So let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments below. If you like this review, please thumb it up below, share, favorite, and subscribe. Subscribe at the bottom if you're new. That's it for this one. See you guys again soon for another Walking Dead video. As always, it's Trev, and I'm saying peace later, guys. See you soon.